Cuba is a country of many contradictions. While many of its citizens live on less than 50 US cents a day, the Cuban Communist government continues to expend most of its capital and human resources, in spite of the crippling American trade embargo, on offering free tertiary education to thousands of students from the developing world. I had the opportunity while in Cuba to sit with students from Grenada, the only other island in the Caribbean to have had a communist-style revolution. Daryl Isaac and Molina Modeste are both medical students at the Latin American University in Havana.
That the education here is a lot more hands-on, a lot more practical, and the one in SU is a lot more theoretical. That's perfect, but both of them would have their benefits in the future. But what the difference here, I guess, is a manner in which they teach you Spanish again. The way in which they teach you the different stuff is the way in which you approach the system, because Cuba still follows a morphology system where they take all the subjects and they make a combination of subjects, trying to create the link in between the subjects in the same time. But the system in which I studied in back home was you study the subjects separately and then you make your own links through your studies. Both of them would have their benefits, because when you study them separately, you get you study more in depth, which is amazing. But here, I guess seeing the links one time help you with the memory process, the memorizing process.
Cuba is very different from the culture of Grenada. Starting with the food, there is a lot of starchy food like the rice. It's almost every day you eat rice. And then there is difficulties with communication. We are used to internet back home or just picking up the phone and call whosoever you want to speak to. But here in Cuba it's very different. Also there is a lot of adjustment with living with different people from all over the world, with different culture, different religion, different beliefs, different ways of doing things and so on. So sometimes it's challenging, but then my advice to anybody that is coming to Cuba to study is to always come with an open mind, because when you come to Cuba it's very, very different and everybody adjusts differently. So when you come with an open mind, it's easier for you to adjust easily.
The students were candid about the conditions under which they study.
Well, during this last 2 years, I always say that I don't know if my brother and my mother sense when I'm stressed, because they always call me around those times. So I have to thank my family, especially my brother and my mother, because they always know the right time to call. It may be right before an exam where I feel flustered, or feel like I'm tired, I'm exhausted, this semester has been way too long. And the phone rings and my mother's just like, hey, you know what to do.
Everybody's experience is different. Sometimes how you might adjust to something, I might not be able to adjust to that. So it's good to always come with an open mind, so then it's easier for you, because if you don't adjust, the quicker you adjust, it's easier for you to study easier. There's a lot of things to face here, and with time you're going to make it, because as my mother always said too, there are a lot of people that was before me and the time was even harder, and it made it.
Many Cubans boast about their medical diplomacy and are quick to point out that unlike their geographical adversaries in the north, their nearest neighbor, their main export happens to be humanitarian goodwill and not military terror. Reporting from Havana, this is Kellen Bubb.